first responders on a call for a rhino that's been poached or an incursion in a reserve or a park. We try the best that we can to give aerial support by means of helicopter, to give the APU guys support and to, if needed, airlift the rhino to safety, or treat it or fly in the vets. We're sitting with less than 13,000 rhino left in South Africa. I think Kruger has lost 50% of their rhino in the last 10 years. I think our black rhino population is down to about 3,500. And if you just think about 33 rain states in Africa, only 10 has got rhino left. And only 4 of those countries have got viable populations. So if that's not an outcry to people to start worrying about, the population in South Africa and what's going on, we're sitting with this amazing heritage, but we're definitely in a decline. Yes, a lot has been done. People are doing excellent work, especially in Kruger. They're fighting an absolute war there, but more needs to be done. We've had a couple of difficult situations where we corner people and then are they going to actually shoot you or not? So we try our best to let the APU guys do their work and apprehend them.
National parks, provincial and private reserves are collectively spending 2 billion rand a year protecting these animals. So if you take that figure and you amortize it out, cost per animal, that's 112,000 rand per animal per year that we are spending to protect it. That excludes anything like a veterinary intervention or in an environment of drought, there's supplementary feeding or anything like that. I'm talking purely security costs. It's not sustainable. Simply cannot continue like this.
It's nice and stable now, so we thought it's a DNA kit. You don't want to contaminate it. That's why we wear gloves. You guys will notice that you see these DNA kits are all marked. They've got a specific chip number on there, and that one as well. So that's specifically this animals. And then we will scan the microchips for Jackie to make sure that it is the right. It all corresponds with each other. So the measurements we take is about 4 fingers from the base. You can see we're going to cut this guy about there, and at the backbone we use about 3 fingers, so that's probably about there. So we use a reciprocating saw to cut these pieces off. Then we take a very coarse grinding disc just to round it off nicely to give it back its natural shape. But you can see the horn grow out perfectly normal. This is what it's made up of, these fibers, keratin fibers almost, and then it fuses. So it's small capillaries in there, and he works it to be smooth like that. So you see that's a loose form.
And so when poachers see this guy, not worth it for them.
It's not a lot of money for them, so the risk is just too high for you to get this piece, so then they live it. You see, the third thing is with the national parks and stuff like Pilanesberg, you can't do this there because the rhino in a book is what a tourist from America wants to see. That's why poaching is so high there. But we do what we can.
A year's worth of growth. This is possibly one of the most valuable commodities on earth. It's worth more than gold at $60,000 per kilogram. But if you look at the dust it forms, if you just go puff, it's no different from the ends of your fingernails.
Kenya's just published the death penalty for poaching, especially rhino poaching. Botswana has got a very serious policy on poachers. I hope for government intervention, I hope for military intervention, I hope the work that we do is the government's responsibility, it's our heritage. Losing these animals, like we always say, is not an option. People are doing the best that they can, they're sitting with very limited funds in government reserves, and they're really battling to make it better, to minimize the amount of poachings we have. So I believe Kruger, as well as in the other reserves, we've seen reserves population drop 60% in 24 to 28 months. We've seen some reserves lose all their rhino.
Their interactions with humans began with fear and a sense of calamity. All of these little ones are orphaned rhinos, their parents brutally killed for their precious horns. They've all been reared by human hand, nursed from that period, and are now being slowly allowed to reintegrate into a herd.
Every orphan that we saved is 40 rhino in their lifetime. You know, so it's critical for us to keep this alive. People want to come and see them. It's foreign income to our country. We need that capital to uplift communities, to educate surrounding communities, to tell them that we need to care for these animals.
There is a perception that the number of rhinos being poached is coming down, but if you think of it as a percentage of the animals left, it almost doesn't matter. Certainly not to this particular animal. It has to be tranquilized once a month so that the flies and the maggots could be cleaned out from its face after its horn was hacked off. Make no mistake, the fight is as intense as it ever was.